Assembly Member Best, please.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Mayor, and Merry Christmas and congratulations on your successful event on Monday. I know using football for good is something that hopefully we can agree that we agree on. Moving on, you'll have seen in the news this week the Liz Kendall's decision to not award the compensation agreement to the WASPI women, and you follow a long line of Labour leaders and high-profile politicians that have stood side by side and said you support the WASPI women campaign. In fact, the image that I couldn't show you under the rules of this chamber would show that you met with them at a conference and said, keep up the good fight. Is it your New Year's resolution to continue to tell WASPI women to keep up the good fight, or do you agree with this government?
No, I think they should keep up the good fight. My understanding is that the government would like to do this, but because of the massive black hole left by the previous government and the awful inheritance, they simply can't find the money to do so. I mean, every year, Chair, every year, there's a gap of money coming in and money going out of £22 billion. And so the government's got a really tough task in relation to balancing the books. And we know because, unlike the previous government, this government have supported the campaign that their sympathies lie with the WASPI women, as indeed do mine.
Actually, Mr. Mayor, that's a little far from the truth, because what the Chancellor has come out and said is actually she's kind of gone on to say that people did have enough time to know this and that she doesn't actually support the cause. It's been less about the money and more about the full reason of doing it. But on the money in itself, I think I've told you previously, I won't go into it again, the state that this government inherited much been improved from what the last Conservative government inherited, Lib Dem coalition in 2010. But also to reflect on this 22 billion black hole that nobody's seen and nobody will be shown. And even the OBR said in their report that there is nothing in their review to legitimise the 22 billion. So with that in mind, how will you be resolving in the new year to support WASPI women, if that is something that you still agree and you disagree with this government, as you say? Well,
I'm really happy to talk about national politics. Look, so the previous government claimed to care about those who were victims of the post office scandal. Where was the money to compensate them? No money set aside to compensate the victims of the post office scandal. The previous government claimed to care about those who were contaminated with
We're actually
with blood.
Talking about you and what you resolved to do in the new year. Sorry, but the Mayor was confused, so I was just redirecting him to the question. What will you be doing in the new year? Will you be supporting the WASPI women, or will you be supporting the government?
So just like with the WASPI women, the government set aside no money, the previous government, for the victims of the post office scandal and contaminated blood. What this government's done, and I fully support, is they found the money for those who are victims of the post office scandal, notwithstanding the difficult circumstances of their inheritance. They found the money to support those who are the victims of contaminated blood. They've also, by the way, are addressing the Windrush scandal, another legacy of the previous government. They've got to find this £22 billion in relation to the black hole left by the government every year, by the way, not just 1 year, one-off. Every year they've got to find the £22 billion. And I know, because the WASPI Women's campaign's been really, really loud and clear, that many women suffered as a consequence of this. I think she's referring to the Ombudsman's report, which was quoted by the Chancellor.
I think you've had enough time to do the filibuster thing. So shall we move on to the question? I'll repeat it. Will you resolve in the new year to stand by WASPI women as you said you would previously, or will you be agreeing with the government and saying that this is a lost cause?
I think it's possible to support the victims of the scandal in relation to the WASPI women, but also recognise the horrible inheritance this government's had from the previous lot. £22 billion black hole, public services on its knees, private sector on its knees, low growth, high interest rates, and a situation that no government would like to inherit, but this government has, and they're doing a good job fixing the foundations of both public services and the economy.
Well, if you think what this government inherited was bad, imagine what the coalition government walked into in 2010. But when you say it's possible to support people by not supporting them, that just lacks entirely any integrity. And it's something that increasingly we're seeing with your mayoralty, whether it's telling people that you have no plans to expand ULEZ and doing it 10 months later, whether it's saying that you only found out you were going to Taylor Swift the night before and misdeclaring those concert tickets, you did that, whether it's not publicising your diary, which you said you would, but then you do it about a year later than you should, or whether it's this, standing. And in this post, you've got 4,000 people liking this. This is an issue that affects 3 million people. It's buying votes, essentially, to stand by them and say, I support your cause, and then say, actually, no, I don't, once you're in the position to stand up for them.
It's always good to receive advice from people about how to win elections, particularly from
I've won every election I've stood in, so you can always listen to me if you like.
Particularly from a party that's lost 3 in a row in terms of the London mayoralty. I'm quite clear in relation to the resolutions I've got for the new year. I'll carry on serving this great city of ours to make it healthier, to make it safer, to make it greener, and to make it more prosperous.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And it is possible to stand in elections. I have, and won without misleading people. I think that you should do the same. No matter your position, if you told people you're going to do something for them, I think you should.
I'm really happy, Chair, to respond to that question.
That's okay. It's not a question, thanks. It's just some helpful advice for the Christmas period.